gonna do that by like expressing it through weather. So like if you are happy, what you can express that is, you know, I'm sunny, you know. If you are maybe sad, it's giving cloudy, it might start raining. If you are angry, the wind is blowing, hurricanes coming. Just however creative you want to be, you can express how you're feeling, or just maybe you want to express an emotion, but connect it to the weather.
That's what I was.
So I'll go off. I am sunny because I got a good report from my doctor after having my surgery, and I got the A-OK to travel, so I went to look at the ticket to actually see Beyonce next week. So I'm very sunny, because I was definitely feeling very cloudy, because I'm like, this is not the kind of summer I wanted to be down and out. But very sunny, so I am. It's an easy one to do, but really I am pretty happy right now. Anybody want to go first? You're going to describe either how you're feeling right now or describing an emotion, but we're going to translate it to like the weather. You get me? So think about it. We'll hear from other people. Go ahead.
I'm feeling like a overcast.
Okay.
Yeah.
Overcast, so not bad, but a little, there are little clouds in there. Okay. Anybody else?
I'm feeling like how it looks outside right now. Where it's like really, really sunny, but like the clouds are all gray.
Clouds are red.
And like you can't see the sky, but there's still like lots of sun.
Okay, that's not bad. That's bad. I like that. Okay. Anybody else?
Probably like a sun shower.
Sunshine, so you're just great. Or sun with a little bit of rain.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyone else? We have a couple people who have not. Anyone else?
Cloudy with a chance of meatballs.
I mean, because you can get that creative as well, right? Rainbow. Okay, I love that. I've actually never heard that. No, I've never heard someone use that. So I just want all the young people, but I've actually never heard that. So we're doing it. It's pretty good over here. I love that. Okay. Our objectives are we're going to learn about CBT and how it builds resiliency. We're going to talk about identifying negative patterns and replacing it with positives, and exploring coping skills. All right. So CBT is called cognitive behavioral therapy. It helps you understand how your thoughts, feelings, and behaviors are all connected. It teaches us how to manage stress, anxiety, and life challenges. All right. So why does CBT build resiliency? It builds resiliency because, like we talked about last week, literally a day ago. Resiliency is about learning how to bounce back, and CBT is a tool that can be utilized to help you know how to bounce back. It helps you kind of identify, unhelpful thinking. It helps you challenge negative thoughts you might experience. Helps you start to implement learning how to use coping skills to help build the resiliency. And it just strengthens your emotional awareness, which is why we kind of did the opening activity, is kind of talking about emotions, because I think sometimes talking about emotions can be a little hard to do because sometimes we don't always necessarily know how we're feeling, or we might feel like, oh, we're displaying one emotion, but really there's other emotions going on. So CBT just helps you kind of get through that foundation to really explore, like, what do I feel on a regular basis? Like, what am I experiencing when certain things happen? So there's a thing that I always like to explain. It's called the CBT triangle. So think of a triangle and think of inside that triangle, there are situations happening. Constantly we're put in different situations. Constantly we're in different environments and things are going on. As things are going on, we naturally have thoughts, right? So that top of that triangle, we have thoughts that are coming through through different experiences throughout your day. You're constantly thinking, right? Through those thoughts, we have emotions, right? Because every thought, there's an emotion attached. Sometimes we might not really process what we might be feeling, but there is an emotion, and through those emotions then comes behaviors. So sometimes being able to challenge some of those negative thoughts when we challenge one of those tiers in the triangle. So changing one can change others, and understanding this helps you feel more in control of your reactions. So a really basic example of CBT, changing maybe a typical behavior based off of a situation. So just doing something different. Problem solving, so getting more in a problem solving mindset and figuring out what's the solution if it's a negative thought. Mindfulness and relaxation, so doing some coping skills, kind of giving yourself a little bit of grace, and then just having self-compassion towards yourself. These skills help you face challenges and bounce back stronger. So a really simple example, and it's an example I do all the time with kids, is math or a test. Just think of school, think of a test, think of a subject area you don't do the best at, right? So the situation is you failed the quiz, right? The thought is, and unfortunately, it can be a thought we probably have all experienced when we might have felt like, oh, I'm stupid or I'm dumb, right? And the feelings attached to that are pretty negative, right? We're not thinking I feel dumb, and our emotion or how we feel about ourselves is a positive one. It's typically pretty negative. It can be feeling frustrated, ashamed, not feeling good enough. And then the behavior is avoid studying, right? Sometimes when we already feel defeated, our first mindset isn't always to be like, oh, I'm gonna try harder. Like sometimes we just sit in that. And the reality is if we sit in those negative emotions and those negative behaviors, we continue to help reinforce all of that negativity to us, right? Because if I don't do anything different, how am I gonna get better? So that is a lot of times the typical response, right? To situations that are maybe not not the most happy. So the CBT response is changing up some of those thoughts. I didn't do well this time, but I can study and do differently. The new feeling can be you feel motivated that although you didn't do well, you want to do better, right? And then the new behavior is you study or ask for help. A lot of times I feel like when we experience negative thoughts, like you said the first time, it's a lot easier to be negative or being honest. It's a lot less work. But a lot of times when you're experiencing feeling like maybe you're not good at something or you're not doing doing well at something, I always ask people like, well, what's the amount of effort that you put in? Because a lot of times, people who aren't feeling great about certain areas, they're not really putting in the effort they could be. So the reality is, I might not be good at something. I might not be applying myself the way I should be. So then how do I motivate myself to get there, right? So that is an example of taking a situation, being a little bit more realistic in our thoughts, and then trying something different. So we are going to look at different situations, and we are going to practice effectively doing that. We don't have to do the first one, because we just do the first one. I'll help you again. We're gonna go over one example together, and then you guys are gonna each have an example, and then you guys are going to look at basically a short story, and then you're going to kind of point out certain areas and go over that with the first example, okay? So the first example we have is the traffic post. Does anybody want to read the first little one for me? I got y'all. Okay. Jada posted a dance video on her social media after spending hours practicing and editing. She kept checking her